Mariana Areola had learned the mechanics of earthquakes the way some children learn the steps of a lullaby. Her grandmother, Tita Kata, hummed old Zapotec songs while kneading masa, and between the soft syllables, she slipped stories of restless hills and sleeping serpents. One tale, repeated whenever a tremor rattled the clay cups in their kitchen, concerned a sleek creature carved from night itself, the Obsidian Otter that slid along the world's deep fractures, polishing razor-edged faults until they cooed like swaddled infants. The saga of the Obsidian Otter, Tita Kata would declare, brushing flour from her palms, is the reason you still have roof tiles, Nina. Give thanks, listen for its humming. Mariana always did listen. Sometimes the earth quivered underfoot, as if swallowing a secret, and she convinced herself she heard a distant, resonant purr. Yet childhood surrendered its room to textbooks, seismographs, and research grants. By 32, she was Dr. Areola, field geophysicist for the Mexican National Seismic Institute, and the otter had been catalogued in her mind beside red-cheeked elves and wind-riding witches. Then came the Cascabel anomaly. On June 14, the Cascabel segment of the Middle American Trench was forecast to deliver a quake flirting with magnitude 8. The offshore sensors screamed, pressure building, subduction grinding, a whip about to crack. Mariana's team flew to Oaxaca, deployed portable arrays, and braced the coastal villages. Emergency broadcasts rattled square TVs. Evacuation drills herded families inland. Nothing. A ripple, barely magnitude 4.3, sighed through the crust, like a relieved breath. Chickens squawked, chandeliers tinkled, and that was it. Instruments recorded violent precursory signals that collapsed into a lull mid-stride, as if a colossal hand had smoothed a wrinkled sheet. The Institute called it a data error. Mariana's gut said otherwise. She prepped a follow-up mission with 3 graduate assistants, Diago, Luz, and Kenji, to comb the region with fresh sensors. If the Earth itself was being edited, someone or something held the quill. They headquartered in San Mateo del Mar, a fishing town stitched to a sandbar. Nights were salted with brine and generator hum. Days with the smell of grilled octopus. Mariana mapped the locations where strain had uncharacteristically leaked away, drawing circles on a topographic tablet. Lines converged on a single inland valley, Barranca del Venado, a gorge no road desired. Luz, whose devotion to folklore rivaled her devotion to waveforms, raised her brows. That gorge appears in Isthmus myth. They say it's the tale of the sleeping serpent that roots all quakes. Diego scoffed. Serpents aren't peer-reviewed. But Kenji, chewing a mango paleta, added, neither are magnitude 8 quakes that vanish. They packed climbing gear, solar lamps, and a week's food. A local elder, Don Tacha, volunteered to lead them halfway, then refused payment. In parting, he made the sign of the jaguar and warned, "You will hear singing rocks. Do not answer with steel." Mariana tucked the phrase into her notebook the way one tucks a feather between pages, uncertain of its purpose yet reluctant to lose it. The trek carved 2 days from their schedule. Dust devils whirled like loose gears spun by an invisible engine. At dusk of the second day, the valley widened, revealing obsidian shards sprouting from the ground like black icebergs. Each spear of volcanic glass shimmered with twilight, reflecting pinprick stars before the sky had fully darkened. "Weird emplacement," murmured Diego. "No recent volcanism here." Mariana crouched beside a shard, palm hovering close. It hummed a basso vibration she felt more than heard. Instruments confirmed narrowband frequencies inside the human vocal range, modulating like song. Luz whispered, "Singing rocks." They pitched camp in a pocket of acacias dwarfed by the cliffs. At midnight, sensors flagged a microquake swarm, magnitude 1 and below, tiny enough to escape human notice. But the swarm stitched itself into a pattern resembling calligraphy. Kenji, bleary-eyed over a laptop, joked, "Looks like cursive." Yet Mariana saw pulses rising and falling, amplitudes smoothing, damping. Someone was scrubbing. Just past 2 a.m. An aftershock flickered. The ground rippled outward, but instead of the jolt common even in microsequences, an uncanny gentleness spread. A warm pressing, as if the earth wrapped them in a comforter. The air filled with a humming lullaby, more harmonious than any static they'd recorded. Mariana scrambled outside. The obsidian shards glowed faint silver. And between them, a dark silhouette rippled. At first she mistook it for water, though no stream lived there. Then the shape reared, elongated, supple, furred with stars. An otter yet not. Its hide was pure volcanic glass, laminae of black opal catching cosmic dust. It slid on its belly along an obsidian rib like a child on a banister, sparks whispering from contact. And it sang, low liquid notes that poured into faults, pressing them flat like dough. Holy! Diego's expletive withered. The creature paused, turning obsidian eyes toward them. Light fractured into amber ribbons inside its pupils. It regarded the quartet without fear or menace, bowed its head, and vanished between shards, melting through stone as if passing through rain. Luzek hailed, tears streaking her dusted cheeks. The saga is real. Diego recorded silent video with trembling hands. Genji forgot to hit save on the waveform display that would have captured the final notes. Mariana simply stared at the vacancy where science had just expanded. Daylight found them desperate to explore. They traced slickened grooves on the obsidian, likened to otter slides along riverbanks, only these descended directly into fissures. With harness and static rope, Mariana led the descent, 30 meters down. The crevasse opened into a cathedral of basalt lit by bioluminescent fungi. In the grand silence, they heard a distant lull. A mother hushed in another room. Rock surfaces were polished mirror-smooth, heatless yet warm to touch. Fault striations melted into soft ripples. Seismic energy maps projected onto tablets showed near-Nero strain. Mariana plotted coordinates, mouth dry. Kenji murmured, "We found an earthquake pacifier." They advanced on a ledge that overlooked a subchamber where magma veins glowed like arterial lines beneath transparent skin. There the otter surfaced from rock as if breaching tarnished water, drifting belly up, forepaws kneading nothingness in time with its melody. Each paw stroke released tremulous waves into the magma, bleeding tension away. Lutz stepped too close. Her boot dislodged a pebble that tumbled, clipped the otter's side, and clattered. The creature flinched. The lullaby hiccuped. A tremor sharpened, magnitude 2.5. Mariana yanked Luz back. The otter resumed singing, but slower, gaze clouded. "Sorry, sorry," Luz whispered. The team retreated, rattled. At camp, debates ignited. Should they reveal this to the Institute, to the world? Diego argued yes, publication, funding, global hazard mitigation. Luz insisted secrecy, exploit, and you doom it. Kenji weighed both, leaning to caution. Mariana remained silent, hearing Tita Kata, "Give thanks, listen." Night jutted with dreams of splitting worlds. By dawn, Mariana's decision crystallized. They'd monitor quietly, gather data, but shield the otter. She prepared a cover report, citing equipment malfunction to explain their absence of a major quake. Fate disliked secrecy. 2 days later, a thunder of rotor blades minced the dawn. A private helicopter hammered onto a scree shelf. Out stepped Dr. Ryan S., Harrow petroleum magnate turned geotechnical entrepreneur, flanked by mercenary geologists in polished boots. His visor flashed like a beetle's shell. "Dr. Areola," he hollered. "Heard you're chasing spectral quakes. Mind if we tag along?" Mariana's blood iced. The Institute must have forwarded satellite P waves indicating unusual damping. Harrow's company, Stratacore Dynamics, was experimenting with seismic energy harvesting, mining tectonic strain for power. Diego, starstruck and greedy for a postdoc, spilled references to the lullaby ground currents. Harrow's grin widened. He produced a drone with a gravimetric micro-reactor, technology rumored but classified. "If there's an energy sink, we'll bottle it," Luz hissed, dragging Diego aside. Kenji surveyed the mercs loading drilling kits. Mariana invoked expedition charters and archaeological protections. Harrow waved legalities away. "And suit-approved remote observation," he said, brandishing a letterhead. Money's signature gleamed. That night, Harrow's team erected resonating probes around the shard field. Metallic clangs echoed, jarring as curses in a nursery. Mariana's group argued until hoarse, the only agreement. They'd descend early, warn the Otter. Pre-dawn blackness aided them. They bypassed Stratacore guards, rappelled into the crevasse. Beneath, the Otter floated restless, keening off-key, as if something pinched its throat. "Stratacore resonance may agitate the faults," Kenji said. "It's counteracting the lullaby." They watched tension climb on portable plots. Micro-quakes sharpened spikes rather than curves. A big one brewed. Mariana approached the ledge, held up her empty palms. She sang an old Zapotec lullaby, one her grandmother used when Mariana's small heart hammered after aftershocks. Her voice cracked, but rode the cave acoustics, weaving with the otters. For a moment, harmony settled. The beast's shimmering coat brightened. The tension slope plateaued. Then, a mechanical drone roared overhead, descending the fissure on powered rotors. Harrow's voice crackled via speaker. "Real-time energy index skyrocketing, people. This is the node." The drone fired a titanium harpoon studded with piezoelectric converters into the basalt floor. Vibrations spiked. The Otter shrieked sound, like glass fracturing under tidal load. Ground heave. Mariana tumbled, rope catching her ribs. The lullaby slammed to silence. Fault lines, scraped raw, began to scream. Meters above, surface troops scrambled as alarm readouts bled red. The gorge walls detonated into rockfalls. Stratacore's resonance array overcharged, feed back into itself, and burst like corn kernels. Inside, Mariana saw the Otter slam its body against the harpoon's tether, trying futilely to pry it loose. Fracture networks flashed incandescent. The magnitude needle soared past 6. She yelled to Luz and Kenji, "Cut the power!" The drone cables ran up the fissure wall. Kenji wielded a magnesium knife meant for rope emergencies. He scrambled, hacked at copper sheaths till sparks spat. One severed line whipped, lashing his arm, but power flow dipped. Diego, guilt roaring louder than dread, braced Kenji's legs. Mariana slid to the harpoon, heart battering. Molten bands in the rock spiraled like pupil dilation. She grasped the shaft, scorching, near-melting pushed until flesh blistered. She could not budge it. The Otter pressed its forehead to hers. In its obsidian skin, Mariana saw herself, cracked but whole. A tidal cord flooded her senses. Memory of tortillas, lullabies, starlit lagoons. She understood without words. If the harpoon stayed, the quake would crest. Millions die. If removed, shock could rebound, but the Otter could cradle it, if given help. She wound climbing rope around the shaft, created a pulley through a carabiner anchored on a boulder. Diego and Luz joined. They pulled, muscles tore. The shaft slid millimeters, then more. The Otter cupped its paws around the base, channeling ink-black light that eroded metal like river-eating sugar. The harpoon snapped free instantaneously. Quake energy, coiled like a struck serpent, rushed toward release. The creature opened its mouth, inhaling vibrations the way black holes eat starlight. Mariana felt her eardrums pop as sound itself bent. The magnitude curve on Kenji's handheld plummeted. Above, the gorge's collapse slowed, debris settling like tired confetti. Silence broke. not with noise, but with peace. A hush heavier than centuries. The otter sagged. Obsidian hide dulled, edges chipping. Its lullaby faltered, stray notes clanking off harmony. The drain had taxed it. Mariana knelt, unsure what succor a human could offer a myth. She touched its paw. Heat pulsed a furnace, dying. She sang again, voice shredded. Luce joined, then Diego, Kenji. 4 fragile throats weaving a cradle song in weaving languages. Zapotec syllables, Spanish endearments, Japanese hums. The otter's breathing evened, and from Fisher's molten veins pulsed gently. Its coat regained sheen like wet ink under sun. It rose, nuzzled each with cool glass nose, then glided into the basalt wall, leaving not a ripple. By the time they climbed out, dawn painted the shards. Stratocor's gear lay slagged, rotors wilted. Harrow shouted lawsuits until confronted with recordings showing his unauthorized drilling triggered a near cataclysm. Federal officers elected by Mariana's emergency satellite ping arrived via military helicopter. They seized equipment, escorted Stratocor away. In the debrief weeks later, the government classified all data under cultural and geological preservation. The valley became a biosphere reserve. Public maps now labelled it Zona Silenciosa. Mariana surrendered her field notes, but kept the lullaby lines scrawled on a napkin. The institute offered her a promotion to lab director in Mexico City. She declined, choosing instead a lowly field position, maintaining rural seismic stations a cover. For she had sworn, as the otter's paw cooled in hers, to be its sentinel. Seasons cycled. Mariana roamed from Guerrero to Chiapas, calibrating sensors, teaching village schools earthquake drills. Each time an overdue tremor dissolved into a gentle roll, she smiled at the hidden tectonic slip and slide. She still felt the creature's hum vibrate up through limestone into her soles. One humid August, an envelope arrived at her bungalow overlooking Lago de Catemaco. No stamp, no address, just a fingerprint pressed into wax shaped like an otter. Inside, a sliver of obsidian curved smooth. When she held it to her ear, she heard the lullaby. Faint, like waves beyond midnight. Below, a line of handwritten Zapotec. Tu par electrica, we continue as guardian. Mariana walked the lakeshore till stars stitched black velvet. She skipped the sliver across water. It skated 3 times, vanished with hardly a splash. Echoes rippled outward, meeting the shore in pulses timed like a sleeping heartbeat. Somewhere, deep beneath feet of silt and bones older than myth, an obsidian otter surfed tectonic murmurs, smoothing the planet's tantrums. And when the earth needed singing to sleep, it was not alone. 4 mortal voices, and perhaps many others, stood ready to hum the harmonies, to cradle the cracks. Because lullabies, like fault lines, travel far, and the saga of the obsidian otter continues wherever people whisper gratitude into trembling ground.